Alrighty, in three, two, one, go. Hey, people of the internet, I am Mr. Espinoza X.
And Mr. Gabe Guy Color back with another Dugtrio podcast, or Dugtrio podcast.
Yeah, sorry. I know it's been a long time coming, and it's long overdue. We promised ourselves that we were gonna finish off the Marvel discussion and everything. But we
But
were kind of busy with real life stuff, and there was also moments that it was like, okay, let's set up a day. We set up a day, and then it just turns out to go. So,
in short, stuff happens. Real life is a bitch. Excuse my language. Well, there goes my monetization.
oh boy.
Well,
Yep, no
anyway,
more ad revenue for you.
no. Well, I don't meet the qualifications for ad revenue anymore. But anyway, that's aside the point.
Alrighty, so where we left off from the Marvel discussion, we were finishing up the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail about the whole movies that are in the MCU. I'll just talk about pretty much what's left from Phase 1. So I left off from the last part about Thor, so we're just finishing that up. So now we're going to go ahead and continue with Captain America, the First Avenger. But before we do that, I think we'll eventually, maybe in the future, talk about the whole MCU, like the other movies. But for now, we just don't want to kind of drag this conversation for very long.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Captain America: The First Avenger was the first MCU movie I actually saw, so I started a little later though, but still kind of in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It actually took me a while to actually watch this movie. Like, I remembered on release day, I was really hyped for it and everything. But there was a, little situation with, kind of a certain thing. I'm not going to go into full detail about it. Personal stuff, pretty much. But until I actually got the chance to finally see it, I was not disappointed. I thought it was a good movie and stuff. But but before we talk about the whole thing, let's talk about pretty much like behind the scenes pretty much because, well, before the production of the movie, everyone wanted to know because Captain America was teased a lot during the Iron Man movies. Like in the background, you could kind of see, Tony Stark building like a shield that resembled Captain America's shield pretty much. And and then Iron Man 2 was fully shown when Agent Coulson kind of like grabbed like this disc and he showed to Tony Stark. He's like, what is this? And then he pretty much used that. It pretty much resembled Captain America's shield, but he used it as a leveling thing to make that new element, like I mentioned before, for his new arc reactor.
Oh.
So a lot was hyping for Captain America to come. The big thing was, who was going to play the Star-Spangled Hero? Well, there was a lot of good candidates. A lot of people wanted Nathan Fillion to play Captain America. But we got a guy who previously was in other two Marvel movies that are not related to the MCU. I'm, of course, talking about Chris Evans, who previously played the Human Torch.
Ooh.
A lot of people were mad because, not everyone loved those two Fantastic Four movies that starred Jessica Alba. So, yeah, like I was really like surprised too that he was going to be Captain America after being played by another Marvel superhero.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm just gonna say this right now, and not to go off topic, but I remember seeing the first two Fantastic Four movies. I thought they were okay. They were kind of cute, campy films for what they were, but I can see why a lot of people don't like them.
Yeah, but just like Heath Ledger's Joker, Michael Keaton's Batman from 1989, people are pretty much too quick to jump the gun. They're like already starting to hate everything. Like, oh, why did they pick this guy and everything? But for me, I'm like, just wait until the movie comes out and, you can see for yourself.
It's like Ben Affleck with Batman v Superman. I mean, it's kind of debatable what you think about that movie, but Ben Affleck as Batman was pretty good in that movie, if you want to have
yeah. He was really good. He resembled a lot from what the comics was. more of the darker toned Batman comic books, you know. Pretty much like after he lost Jason Todd to the Joker, he was more of this dark, brooding character, pretty much. Always blaming himself for not saving his fellow ward.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was, you know, it was a lot of people were jumped again because he previously played Daredevil and stuff. And, you know, that movie kind of didn't well. But I thought Ben Affleck did a good job as Daredevil, you know. I really didn't mind him, you know. I actually liked the Daredevil movie. It was actually okay, you know. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. It wasn't, like, bad neither, you know. But a lot of people thought, yeah, this was a really, really bad movie. But yeah, and then we jump back to the Fantastic Four. A lot of people thought it was a really bad movie, but like you know, Mr. Game Guy said, I thought the movies were okay. You know, I think after seeing a couple times the Rise of the Silver Surfer, I just thought, I don't know. But then like when they casted Chris Evans as Captain America, I was like, I don't see him as Captain America. You know, I think they could have went with Nathan Fillion, like you know everybody wanted, but you know, after watching the movie, I was not disappointed. I thought he really played a good Captain America. It wasn't, you know, kind of like the uh the Captain America from the comics, but he
Mm-hmm.
was just a badass pretty much in that whole damn movie. He was, oh my god, the
He,
action scenes in that movie were just great.
indeed, he to me he feels kind of more. He kind of reminds me of more of a family man kind of Captain America. Similarly to Guile from Street Fighter.
Yeah, yeah, he was resembled more of like a family person, pretty much. Like, you know, not like Captain America in the comic books where he's like trying to like, you know, come to terms that yeah, he was frozen for like 80, 70, 85, 75 years. I really don't know the math, but
Something like
um
that.
but you know, he was trying to, you know, kind of live the modern life, you know. He wasn't that they weren't really going for that Captain America. They were going more of like a family man type Captain America. So yeah. But Captain America the First Avenger, like the title says, this is actually a prequel pretty much set first on the MCU timeline. So this takes place in the prime of World War II in 1942 and stuff. So yeah. So I'm not like previously, I'm not going to go into full detail about the plot. I'll kind of like make it really short. So pretty much in 1942, a Nazi scientific division known as Hydra and its leader Red Skull, or in his
Hail
assistant
Hydra!
Zola, they wanted to get the Tesseract. Pretty much, they were fighting it until you know they prevailed and everything. So then we cut back to Brooklyn, New York, where we find scrawny Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, which is really crazy because, you know, he literally buffed himself up for the role. But after seeing before he took the super soldier serum, oh my God, dude, I'm like, these
Mm-hmm.
guys they did a great job in the effects, making him like really scrawny before Steve Rogers became Captain America.
Oh, undoubtedly though. It's just that one shot though where they're showing him in that I forgot what it was though, but it's like that glass case though that says we need you in a soldier's uniform, and it has like the headshot thing though, but his head doesn't reach the headshot.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that scene. Like he was like, "Oh God, that was actually pretty funny." But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much Steve Rogers wanted to go to the military to help out, you know, the troops, you know, fight off the Nazis, pretty much. But he kept getting rejected by military recruitment because of various health and physical problems. So, in other terms, he was really skinny.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So he was attending like some exhibition for like future technologies along with his best friend, Sergeant James Barn, or, you know, as he likes to call him, Bucky, pretty much.
Ooh,
And yeah,
foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. But yeah. But I guess after, you know, he pretty much Bucky had went to go, you know, do the service, Steve Rogers again tried to, you know, get recruited into the military until he was stopped by a scientist, pretty much telling him like, tell me, do you want to kill people? You know, why do you want to go to war and all that stuff? Pretty much he told them like, I hate bullies. That's all I want, you know. And then he was recruited into the super soldier serum pretty much. And, they did the whole, boot camp thing, like any other like a war movie. You always start with the whole boot camp scenes pretty much. So yeah. Along he was met with, fudge, I forgot his character's name, but Tommy Lee Jones was in the movie. He played the I think the general. I think he was the general. Yeah, he played the general. And then there was also a an agent woman by the name of Peggy Carter. And well, for him it was more of like love at first sight. So yeah. But and then I guess Steve Rogers, out of all his other boot people from the boot camp, he was chosen for to be injected with the super soldier serum. So they go back to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
They
mainly
go into
because
this
of the
underground base.
grenade.
Yeah, because of the grenade, pretty much. Because the scientists believe that he can do great. And compared to like all these other Greeks heads, trying to be all cocky. So yeah. So pretty much he was recruited and everything. He gave the super soldier serum. He became from a scrawny man to a really buff dude. So yeah. And then pretty much he was, made into he pretty much was Captain America. But he wasn't it wasn't what he wanted, pretty much. After stopping a secret Hydra agent, pretty much acting like a American scientist after pretty much blowing up the place and killing himself after. The U.S. government used Steve Rogers to pretty much sell bonds. Pretty much, if you guys don't know, I think selling bonds was pretty much selling like ammunition and equipment to like the military, pretty much. So, yeah, it wasn't really what he wanted. And then I guess kind of like the last straw is when pretty much he does his little like dancing routine in one of the military bases, and like he was drawing like himself pretty much as a monkey with a unicycle holding up his shield. And pretty much Peggy told him like, you're destined for other great things and stuff. And then until pretty much, I guess, some army guys came back injured and everything, and I guess he heard the platoon. Hold on, real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to like.
Oh, take your time.
Yeah.
And this is before the point though where he starts going out and acting as
Yeah,
an
he
idol.
starts pretty much going to, because he heard that his Bucky was in trouble, so he goes in and pretty much goes to like the same Hydra base that he was captured in, pretty much. And that's when Captain America finds the Red Skull. After punching him, he kind of removes his mask and reveals, hey, it's a Red Skull, a guy in a Red Skull.
A literal
And then
Red Skull.
pretty much, yeah. And then pretty much, he went after to save them. He recruits other people for a elite group called the Howling Commandos and stuff. They, go on missions, pretty much stopping Hydra. And, pretty much Red Skull is furious and everything, telling his partner, we are failing. You cannot stop a simpleton with a shield.
Well, that's why they call him Red Skull. Okay, bad joke.
That's the Red Skull. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention he was also played by Hugo Weaving. So yeah, pretty sure anyone's remember him. He was like the that agent from The Matrix, obsessed with calling Keanu Reeves Mr. Anderson. Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention. But yeah, until one mission where they had to infiltrate a Hydra train delivering weapons from the Tesseract. Until kind of like something went wrong, and pretty much Bucky we thought, well, actually fell to his death. But they stopped Zola pretty much, and then Zola was interrogated to know what they were doing with the Tesseract and stuff, and where was the main base for making the weapons, pretty much. So Captain America eventually, gets himself captured to pretty much to use his GPS to know where the other where to let the others know that where he's at pretty much. And he activates the GPS after being punched out by Red Skull a couple times, and then pretty much they come in. Then it comes in the cavalry. Red Skull tries running away, and pretty much he pretty much drives this really big ship, plane pretty much. Along with it was like a bunch of like little planes, pretty much has like names of like major cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, pretty much. So pretty much they were planning on to attack,
Dallas.
Different. Yeah, they're pretty much attacking like different like major cities around the world. So that was Hydra's plan. So pretty much, Captain America and Red Skull get in a good fight, and guess there was like a little chain reaction with the Tesseract, and then pretty much Red Skull was grabbed it, and then he kind of just disappeared like with the Tesseract. He kind of like teleported. A lot of people like, did he die or what was going on? But
mind if I spoil what happened to him?
No, not yet. We'll talk about that later.
Not yet. All right.
But then after that, Captain America, the only way to stop the plane was to kind of crash land. So he crashes land into the Arctic, telling Peggy that, I love you and everything like that. And then pretty much, setting up a date, is all like, setting up a date pretty much. But he already fell into the Arctic. And then we cut to pretty much 75, 85 years. Now, this happened in the beginning of the movie, but I kind of skip that and towards the end, to kind of like fill in like the whole timeline of the MCU. But a bunch of guys discovered the ship and everything. That's when they saw kind of Captain America's shield saying like, bring up somebody to get pretty much this guy's waited long enough. So pretty much, yeah.
Bring up
so
Samuel
then we kind of
Jackson.
cut. Yeah. So you pretty much cut to that. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to explain some stuff, so I'm trying to explain the best I can. So then we cut to pretty much they unfreeze Captain America, and then but they didn't want him to like get like in fear of like knowing that pretty much he's in a different time. So pretty much they had set up like a little hospital room that kind of resembles 1942 and stuff, and they pretty much had a lady act like a nurse, pretty much dressed like it was 1942 and stuff. But he noticed something was fishy because in the radio there was like a broadcast of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he recognized it because he said that he was at that game. And then pretty much the nurse alerted the other agents. So pretty much Captain America beat up the agents, ran away to realize he was in modern time, Times Square in New York. And then, of course, he was found by Nick Fury. And Nick Fury told him, you've been asleep, Cap, for over 75, 85 years. 70 years. Okay. Yeah, 70 years around that time. So, yeah. But, yeah, that was pretty much Captain America and everything. And, of course, the end credits was just pretty much Steve Rogers punching out a punching bag. And then pretty much telling Nick Fury comes into the picture and pretty much telling him like, you're here for a mission, sir. And then Nick Fury's like, yes, I am, trying to save the world. And I mean, trying to change the world, but he's like trying to save it. And then it cuts to like a little preview to the first Avengers.
Ooh.
But yeah, Captain America First Avengers, for me, it was actually a pretty good movie. I actually did like it. It was, I don't know, there was some moments that I was like I kind of, I was kind of a little confused about, but it was still enjoyable. I definitely do like it, but, again, it was just barely the first movie for him and stuff. So, but it was received well. It got kind of mixed opinions about it, but I thought the movie was fine. What about you?
I thought it was good. Like I think for like just setting up though the very beginning though, as well as just setting up this character as well as the kind of earliest point in the MCU's timeline, I felt it did a good job.
Yeah, it definitely did. It gave us finally a actually pretty good, a better Captain America movie than the one in 1990.
We don't talk about that one
We don't talk about that one. We do not talk about that one.
unless we're making fun of it.
Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and tackle the last movie in Phase 1 of the MCU, and that was, of course, the biggest crossover of the year. That was Marvel's The Avengers. Now, before we talk about The Avengers, yeah, this one was also kind of hit with a little drama in terms of the Hulk. The previous actor who played the Hulk and the Incredible Hulk, Ed Norton, asked for more money. But they're already paying Robert Downey Jr. more money because, pretty much Robert Downey Jr. was a poster boy for the for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they ended up firing him and ended up hiring somebody else by the name of Mark Ruffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, a lot of people didn't like that decision. They even at Comic-Con when they're promoting the Avengers, when they called Mark Ruffalo's name, a lot of people were booing. But Mark Ruffalo did not care.
It's like
Like
wait
he didn't.
it's like wait a minute though, you're booing me, but I'm the Hulk.
Like you do not want to make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But again, it's like we said before, is when, pretty much people were too quick to jump the gun. But when the actual movie came out, people just like, oh, he's the best Hulk ever.
They spoke too
Oh my
early.
gosh. Oh boy. But yeah, pretty much the Avengers took place actually after the Thor movie, because I mean, in the timeline, pretty much the ending of Captain America, since he was frozen and stuff. So what's crazy, because they were actually going with a storyline to, like, with Captain America pretty much coming to terms that he's in the modern age. He's still trying to get used to all this technology and pretty much all this future stuff. They were gonna go with something like, they even had like a deleted scene, like just him pretty much walking, seeing all this future stuff. And yeah, it just they kind of cut that out. I really don't get why, but it would have been cool if they actually added that in, but I guess they saved that for a much later movie, and stuff. But yeah, so before then, it was very confusing, because I was like, before the movie, I was like, how are they gonna like have enough screen time for all the characters?
Mm-hmm. How were they gonna do that?
Yeah, like how are they gonna do that? Because they have pretty much a bunch of all these characters, all these familiar faces from Marvel and everything, and it's just, how are they gonna do that? Well, when I actually saw the movie, I was really surprised, because a lot of the characters got plenty of moments, pretty much. You not counting Hawkeye, because I mean, thought the movie Hawkeye was pretty much brainwashed by Loki and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, because I was really hyped
Oh.
up for Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, but they kind of like gave him the pretty much the backseat, and just kind of making him like a brainwashed, minion of Loki. And then like when he actually snaps out of it, he did some pretty cool moves. But
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the whole plot goes like this.
Wait,
So
wait, wait, wait,
pretty
wait, wait,
much,
wait. Did they use the Mind Stone on him?
well, they used the Tesseract. That is not the Mind Stone.
Ah, okay.
Well, yeah, but yeah, pretty much the Tesseract, um, I guess, was attached to pretty much in the beginning, kind of cuts to like this guy talking to Loki, like, you must take over Earth along with the Chitauri army, pretty much. And in exchange for retrieving the Tesseract, a powerful source to unknown potential, the other promises Loki an army, which pretty much he could take over Earth and Asgard, pretty much. If they give him the Tesseract. and pretty much Loki teleports pretty much to her thanks to like the Tesseract that was, kept by what happened?
Oh,
Hold on, bro.
all right, take your time.
So anyway, Loki used the Tesseract to pretty much mind control Hawkeye, the scientist that helped out Thor in the first movie, and other agents from Shield, pretty much. And pretty much, Nick Fury told Maria Hill and Agent Coulson that it was time to use the Avengers initiative. So they pretty much recruited members. So first off, they recruited um, who did they recruited Black Widow pretty much. He was in a mission in Russia pretty much, and pretty much Coulson told them that Hawkeye was brain controlled by Loki, and Black Widow was very furious, so she ended up beating up these Russian mafia dudes. And then after that, pretty much Agent Coulson told him you have to recruit the big guy. Who was the big guy? Well, it was none other than the Hulk. So pretty much she pretty much goes to, I forgot, I think Brazil, some country in South America, but pretty much telling her like, we need you. And then pretty much Bruce Banner is all like, well, what if I say no? Then we'll pretty much capture you and stuff like that. And then pretty much he eventually just gives in and is like, all right, I'll come with you. And then and then Agent Coulson pretty much tried to recruit Tony Stark, but after he was still kind of furious that he wasn't really accepted, in that ending scene of Avengers. Iron Man 2. So he kind of just told them, no, go away. And then that was when Nick Fury. We kind of get the ending scene of. We kind of got the end credits, the post credit scenes from Captain America, where Nick Fury comes in with telling him that we need you and stuff like that. So they all meet in. They pretty much Captain America was met with Bruce Banner and just like this battleship, pretty much, which turned out to be a floating ship known as a helicarrier.
A literal battleship.
Yeah, yeah. And then pretty much and then pretty much they found the location of Loki thanks to I guess something within the Tesseract. So pretty much he's located in Berlin and stuff. And then they go to stop Loki and everything. And then finally we see Iron Man in the full Iron Man costume pretty much. And then pretty much they go to pretty much take Loki back to the Shield base. But they were stopped by his brother himself, the God of Thunder, Thor, pretty much telling him like, I thought you were dead and stuff from the first Thor movie, and then you need to come back home and stuff. But Loki didn't want to, so pretty much Iron Man went to go stop Thor. They had a huge fight, which was okay. You're the villain of the movie. Like, you had your chance to escape, but you choose to stay.
Villain stupidity right then and there.
Like while pretty much the main three Avengers are fighting, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, the big villain was just kind of standing there, just doing nothing.
Hey
you
guys,
could have
how's
had
it
your chance
going?
to run away, but no. But yeah, that's what I thought to myself. But then when they bring back Loki to the base, they wanted him to get He wanted him to get captured to pretty much destroy one of the helicarriers to kind of break the tripod, that kind of supports its standing. You know what I mean?
Divide and
So
conquer.
thanks to Hawkeye's mind controlled Hawkeye and stuff, Loki was able to escape pretty much. They got pretty much good details about like secret Shield stuff and everything. We see pretty much members of the event, like the Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, and everybody fighting, kinda and stuff. It was a pretty good scene too. I'm not gonna go into food detail again, but yeah. So pretty much, they were fighting until pretty much Agent Coulson sacrificed himself to try to stop Loki, but Loki had stabbed him pretty much. So pretty much we thought Agent Coulson was dead, but apparently they saved him for a Agents of Shield TV show. So yeah, um, and pretty much Nick Fury told the members of the Avengers, like, this is why we needed you guys, to kind of stop. He pretty much used the death of Agent Coulson to them to get together to finally work together to stop Loki. So pretty much then, I guess, during the big fight with uh, Black Widow and Hawkeye was able to snap out of his mind control, and then the Hulk pretty much destroyed most of the ship. Bruce Banner finally unleashed as the Hulk and everything and stuff, and then so pretty much Loki was set to pretty much open a bridge from from space to down here to Earth thanks to the Tesseract using a machine. Pretty much, forgot. I think it was the Avengers Tower that they were using. Well, before it was Tony Stark's towers, and then they used it to pretty much open the portal so that Chitauri could come in and attack New York and stuff. Thus began the huge battle with the New York, and then pretty much the Avengers were showing off their fighting skills. Bah bah, you'll never get away, Loki. Bah bah bah, and stuff. And then eventually they stopped him and everything. Pretty much New York was saved, and stuff. And the post-credit scene for the Avengers. Oh man, this one was a huge one, pretty much. So, pretty much the guy who pretty much made that promise to Loki was talking to somebody. It was a guy in a chair, pretty much. And then he was pretty much telling them that we underestimated the humans and stuff like that. And then he told them to challenge them is to pretty much, guard. To challenge them is to guard death. And the guy that was sitting in the chair turned around. And who was it? Thanos.
The big Whoever knew himself.
Thanos himself is the Mad Titan. He's obsessed with grabbing, 6 of the Infinity Stones to create the Infinity Gauntlet. But yeah, that was really huge because we felt like, oh my God, they're gonna bring in Thanos in the movies,
Oh my God.
It was just crazy. But after that was pretty much the end of Phase 1, and we had I think 3 other phases. I think 3 other phases. I think they're still in phase. I think they just finished Phase 4.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're not done anytime soon. We still got a while to go.
Yeah, they still got a while to go. They got many plans and everything. We got other sequels to the main 3 Avengers. We got Iron Man 3, which I thought that was a disappointment. I'm not gonna go into full detail again. We got the Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We thought Bucky had died in the first one, but it turns out he was the Winter Soldier, which was a very huge shock to everyone. But for people who read the comic books, knew who Bucky was gonna be, and it was the Winter Soldier pretty much. And then we had Thor: The Dark World, which in my opinion I thought was the more weaker MCU movie and stuff. Just I don't know. I don't know. It was weird, and I just didn't really like it that much. But I'm not saying it's my least favorite MCU movie, because that one goes to Iron Man 3 actually, because of that whole pretty much the Mandarin was the main villain, but it turned out it was just an act. Again, you guys gotta watch the movies if you haven't already, or if for those who have,
Well,
pretty
it's pretty
much,
popular, so I imagine a lot of people who are watching this discussion probably have already seen it.
Yeah. And then, we got pretty much the bottom of the barrel of the whole Marvel universe, and they turned it into a movie, and it became very popular after that. I'm, of course, talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, which was literally the funniest movie out of all the MCU. Pretty much they took an actor by the name of Chris Pratt and skyrocketed his career to an A-lister, to a very, very popular and very shocking. He was actually a humble guy with his fans too. Literally takes his time. Like he literally stole his costume because I guess actors who are like in those type of roles, they would have to pay. I think they have to pay a certain amount of money to actually get their costume from the movie. But he stole it and he used it to go to like
Very in
children's hospitals, to visit
very
them and
very
stuff.
in character, I must say.
Yeah, he does. And he's a very humble guy and everything. And who would have known that a guy who was like in this TV show would just his boom already an A-lister. So yeah. And it had its sequel and everything. And then
Well,
of course we
wait,
did get, I'm sorry, go ahead.
we can't forget about Ant-Man. That was another kind of very not very well known Marvel IP that kind of went up though in popularity thanks to the MCU.
Yeah, Ant-Man was, very. It was funny because like in the comics he was a founding member he was one of the founding members of the Avengers, but they kind of turned who was supposed to be the first Ant-Man, which was Hank Pym. They turned him like an old guy and gave his suit to another guy by the name of Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd. And it was really shocking, but it worked out perfectly.
It
And
did
of
work out pretty
course,
well. I mean, it basically just goes from kind of what's considered to be a small time criminal into the next Ant-Man. It's like my days of
yeah, it
breaking
was
in and
just
stealing shit are over. So what do you need me to do? Break in and steal some shit. I can work with that.
Oh, okay. Oh man, it was a good movie. I actually liked that movie and stuff. I
It
actually
was
did
fun.
like Ant-Man and the Wasp as well.
It,
So yeah.
it felt like they
And
were
then
literally trying to make a comedy with that one.
yeah. Yeah. Like a heist comedy out of those two movies. And it worked perfectly. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Like a lot of like after seeing the trailer, I was just really excited because I already knew who Ant-Man was. But I was kind of a little disappointed that they had made Hank Pym into an old man. But when I heard that they casted Michael Douglas, one of my favorite actors, I'm like, oh man, this is actually going to be a good movie. Oh man, but yeah, and then of course we got other ones like Doctor Strange, and stuff, who was played surprisingly, which I thought was going to be a good Doctor Strange, was Benedict, the most awesome name in Hollywood, Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh boy, it's just a mouthful.
Darmadu, I've come to bargain. He did a lot of
Yeah, that
bargaining.
he did do a lot of bargaining. But yeah, but
Interestingly
yeah, I
enough,
mean the MCU.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No,
Sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt. But interestingly enough, Darmandu was not in his Firehead phase. Did you notice
I
that?
know. Yeah, I noticed they were like more of like a element, like I don't know, just a shadowy figure blending in with his dark world and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, the chaos dimension, and it's like that's weird. But hey, it worked perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, actually, the guy who did the voice for Dormammu was the same guy who played Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep. Interestingly enough,
But
and I guess in the context
yeah,
of the movie, it would make sense though, since he's probably the first human he's seen though, so it would make sense he would try to mimic the first human he sees.
yeah. And of course, we got other sequels to the Avengers, which the second one was Age of Ultron. It was pretty much bringing back the old members of the Avengers, but also added in two new ones along with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which surprisingly they were able to get the rights for them because these guys are pretty much considered mutants and they're
Mm-hmm.
the son and daughter of Magneto, pretty much.
Interestingly
The
enough, that
most,
Magneto's children are in this, which I found hilarious.
yeah. Like I don't know how they were able to get the rights from them from Fox. Like it was just really crazy. But of course they were going to establish them like as mutants or just kind of like, science experiments from Hydra. What was left of them pretty much. And they were first at villains and stuff like that, but they eventually felt like, oh my god, like Ultron's trying to do this to the world, and we didn't sign up for this. So pretty much, they kind of showed their trust to the Avengers after pretty much, doing all the stuff that they did to them, and joined in and stuff. But I don't know. Ultron was just probably the more like Ultron was supposed in the comics is supposed to be this really menacing villain for the Avengers. Like pretty much this is the same villain that literally almost destroyed half the Avengers. but they turned them into comic relief, and I just thought he did not look anything like his comic book counterpart. I just thought he wasn't that great of a character like I expected. I was really hyped up that, yeah, we're going to get this great villain like Darth Vader and stuff like that in like cinema. But turned out it was more of like a disposable, like the pretty much the villain of the day, like we mentioned a couple times in this topic. But yeah, but I guess after a couple movies after, we finally got Avengers Infinity War, pretty much based off the Infinity Gauntlet comic book. And yeah, finally Thanos is wow.
Wow, it was just the whole movie was wow. I mean, everyone loves to meme the hell out of it, but the whole movie was just wow.
It was just wow. That ending was just wow. Man.
You never think they would. You didn't think they were gonna do it. You did not think they were gonna do it, but they did.
They did. They literally.
The bad guy wins.
As soon as he snapped his fingers, half of the universe gone. Like Thanos promised, like I'm gonna balance the whole universe and stuff like that, and he did it. Now he's in the porch, sitting down, watching the sunset.
And he's just thinking, yeah, I did that.
Yep, he's like, oh man, I did that. But yeah, even till this day, the MCU is still standing strong. We still have left a Captain Marvel movie, the sequel to the Avengers, Infinity War, and of course, I believe also, what other movies are they? They have other movies lined up too. So yeah. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna go into food detail.
A Spider-Man sequel.
Oh yeah, the Spider-Man sequel. Oh yeah, that's something I also forgot to talk about. Yeah, eventually they got the right. They eventually made a deal with Sony, use Spider-Man for the MCU. They casted a much younger Spider-Man, which was really surprising. But after watching Civil War and Homecoming, I thought it worked perfectly. He actually did a good Spider-Man. But till this day, Tobey Maguire will always be the Spider-Man that I grew up with. Like, he will always be, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man. I don't care what anyone says about Spider-Man 3. I thought that movie was funny. I didn't think it was...
I ain't gonna be the one to ruin it for you. Whatever you like is something you find joy in, what others don't. So go right ahead. Love that movie all you want.
Yeah. And The Amazing Spider-Man, I thought the first movie was okay. I thought Andrew Garfield played a good Spider-Man. Yeah. He captured the nerdiness of Peter Parker pretty much. And I guess it was a great idea for him to have a Brooklyn accent, which was like really like surprising. But hey, it worked. It really worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't think that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was great. They had so many plans for just that Amazing Spider-Man universe, but it never worked out. We still haven't heard anything from like that Sinister Six movie that they had promised.
They flat out said they canceled it.
Oh, they did? They finally did? That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, I guess they canceled it.
Yeah, pretty much the Sinister Six makes up into 6 Spider-Man villains, mostly made up of Dr. Octopus, Vulture, the Lizard,
Green Goblin, I think.
The Vulture. Did I say the Vulture already?
Yeah, you already said Vulture.
I see Dr. Octopus, Scorpion, Rhino,
Electrode. I think in one interpretation, Electrode was in there.
Electro was in it too, and stuff, and then Mysterio, and I already said that's 6 already, huh? But yeah. That's pretty much what the Sinister Six was, pretty much. Them pretty much destined to kill Spider-Man. But, Spider-Man always prevails because, hey, good always defeats evil, right?
Mm-hmm. Unless Carnage is involved. But that's for another day.
Oh, boy. You're never gonna give up that death battle, aren't you?
Hey, I want to get my friend. I want to get my friend in here, and I want to talk about that. I to this day want to voice chat with him about it, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but I want to voice chat him about it. I really want to voice chat him about that death battle.
I want to join. I want to join that voice chat too because I need to hear him. Like, who the heck is that girl?
But I think you should
That
watch the
anime
video
character.
first.
Yeah, yeah, definitely will. But yeah, other than that, of course we also got, you know, other like Netflix series. Before then, Marvel had bought in the rights back to Daredevil, the Punisher, and the Ghost Rider, and pretty much there was plans for movies. I thought, oh hell yeah, Daredevil and the Punisher are going to be in like the MCU, but they decided to use them as pretty much a show, being shows for Netflix, pretty much. Hinting they were going to do more of like a Avengers-esque crossover called the Defender. Much the Defenders are kind of like the Avengers, but I guess they defend they defend pretty
Hmm.
much. And surprisingly, the founder for the Defenders in the comic books was actually Doctor Strange, but they decided to go with a different approach since they didn't use some of the original members of the use the original some of the original members for the Avengers in the first movie. So pretty much the first Netflix show was, of course, Daredevil. It came to season 1 and 2 and stuff, and I thought that show was great. I don't know if you ever watched the Daredevil on Netflix. I don't know if you even have Netflix.
I don't have Netflix anymore, but no, I haven't seen it. No, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's a really good show. He doesn't get his red suit like he does in the comic books. He kind of begins with like this black suit with like pretty much like a mask covering himself. But for those who don't know who Daredevil is, it's pretty much his Matt Murdock. When he was like 12 years old, he was in a accident. Pretty much a truck crashed into a forklift, and that truck pretty much. Oh no, pretty much this forklift pretty much was carrying pretty much like this acid type chemical, and pretty much it literally like just gashed out. Like I think it crashed into like a really sharp object, and pretty much that canister kind of like went all over his eye, resulting him to be blind and
Ooh.
everything. But thanks to pretty much those chemicals, he was able to have a sonar sense pretty much. So he can his hearing and his smell, and pretty much he was able to like pick up like heartbeats pretty much. So pretty much just it enhanced everything, enhanced pretty much, and he's not that. And then like I guess his vision still blind, but I guess he was able to see like, the world on fire. I'm not gonna go with how in the movie because we're talking about the Netflix series. I mean, not the movie, but pretty much he told like the nurse that helped him out, pretty much saying like, "I see a world on fire," and we get a little brief, scene of what he sees, pretty much, just not like in the movie. So yeah, but of course they go with the first villain as the Kingpin, pretty much, which was really surprising because I thought the Kingpin was gonna be in the MCU, but no, I guess not. So they actually have him just in a Netflix series. Now it does kind of it's kind of in the MCU, but it kind of is more of like the backseat of the MCU,
Yeah,
pretty
like
much. There is
more of its own thing though. Like it's implied to be in the MCU, but not really a main focus.
yeah, like they do mention the other Avengers like Captain America, Hulk, and what happened in New York, the events of the first Avengers movie and stuff. Um, but they don't show them. They do kind of show glimpses of the Avengers Tower and stuff, but they just it's just all mentions and Easter eggs. So yeah,
Hmm.
but season one was I thought season one was great. Season two of Daredevil was pretty much pretty much a was pretty much more action oriented and stuff. Pretty much they brought in Elektra and the Punisher and stuff. Eventually, Punisher did get its own show. There was other shows for Netflix. Was Jessica Jones, which is a private investigator that got her superpowers from a car act, pretty much from an experiment gone wrong, and then and she doesn't really use her powers that much though. So yeah. Then of course, there was Luke Cage, a man's whose his skin is bulletproof. Like nothing can penetrate that skin. Again, he was a prisoner at first, but but they were experimenting on him, and pretty much he got that impenetrable skin. So yeah. And then, he kind of like escapes from jail, and then, there's just these people, who are trying to take over Harlem and everything. And it's corrupt congresswoman as well. And is a drug dealer pretty much. And eventually he stops him, but he has to go back in jail. And of course, there's another Netflix series known as Iron Fist. Iron Fist is pretty much a prophecy of this ancient city known as Kunlun. Pretty much they recruit like a really great skilled person and have them fight a large dragon. And if they defeat that dragon, that person has to hug the dragon and pretty much get the powers of the Iron Fist. Pretty much these fists that glow pretty much, which in the comic books, actually, he can use both of his fists to glow, pretty much like, he create fire out of them pretty much. Kind of more like chi, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For those who, I don't know, are into like Dragon Ball and stuff. And then, I guess eventually a young billionaire by the name of Danny Rand, when he was just 13, he was in a plane crash along with his parents and stuff, and pretty much he spent most of his childhood and adult life in Kunlun, pretty much learning martial arts and everything. And then he was able to wield the powers of the Iron Fist, but he wanted to go back home pretty much. And then eventually he does go back home and everything. And it doesn't really turn out so well because everyone thinks he's dead. He's over here claiming that I am Danny Rand and everything. Like, I'm not here to, get my company back. I'm not here to get my dad's company. I just want to, I just miss you. Like, he just like misses, being out in the open pretty much. So, yeah.
The reason why we're not getting another Ghost Rider is because Nicolas Cage would be forced to play again.
I mean, they did bring Ghost Rider, but it wasn't the Ghost Rider we remembered. It was actually a different rendition of Ghost Rider, but he was only in that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show that I mentioned that Agent Coulson was in. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole Marvel media that we kind of wanted to explain. But yeah, but I do definitely, for those who haven't seen both the MCU movies, Netflix shows, or pretty much the TV shows, I definitely do recommend watching them because they're pretty entertaining.
If at the very least, see Deadpool. I know that's not the same studios, but see Deadpool.
Yeah, see the other ones that weren't pretty much made by the studio, pretty much in association, like the original X-Men movie. If you want to watch the first two Fantastic Four movies to get a laugh, then go ahead. But do not stay away. Fan Four Stick.
but
stay away from.
But I like that movie. I'm not joking when I say that either, but I acknowledge tons of people hate that film, so I'm just sort of okay, whatever. I'm still gonna like it, but I will acknowledge that tons of people hate it, so oh well.
Yeah.
And it's not ironically either.
Definitely watch the original Spider-Man movies for sure, the ones with Tobey Maguire. When you're watching Spider-Man 3, you'll get a laugh.
Don't take emo Peter seriously. Just don't take it seriously, and you're good.
For real. Just do not take emo Peter Parker seriously.
Speaking of Spider-Man 3. Okay, I just want to say this. Speaking of Spider-Man 3, has that Venom movie come out yet?
Oh no, it hasn't. It actually comes out in 2 weeks.
Someone say Spider-Man?
Oh
Oh
my
my
God,
gosh. Yes, we
Ghost
said
Man,
Spider-Man.
Ghost Man, you need to say
Yeah.
something. Don't just pop up for no reason. Anyway, that Venom movie, as long as
Turned
it's
in here earlier. I
entertaining.
just want to annoy you guys, but you guys said Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, we're talking about, I guess, yeah, that's the latest Marvel associated movie, not from the MCU, but Venom is coming out, played by the guy who played Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, Tom Hardy.
How
I'm actually watching the movie. I don't care if it got a PG-13 rating. I'm still watching the movie because I'm a really huge Venom fan.
how fitting how fitting is it that Bane is become Venom, just like that Death Battle?
Oh God, we're never gonna let that go, aren't we?
Well, that's a different Death Battle, and that's the one where the symbiote wins.
Oh man. But yeah, but that's pretty much the conversation about Marvel media. Oh, alrighty. Well, there's one conversation we wanted to talk about that kind of had to be addressed about. You want to go ahead and tell them what it is, Peter?
Oh yes, the I've about a month ago I've been seeing videos like this, and I'm normally not too interested in following drama and stuff like this, mainly just because I don't know the details. But I think it has become more than apparent though that Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Studios, or just Marvel in general, recently though he's being utilized a lot for his money, his fame, and basically just being utilized as a tool rather than a human being.
Like, I know he's said on Twitter that, like everything is fine, that nobody's using him for his money and everything like that. But in a video, they showed him pretty much in a Comic-Con, pretty much. I forgot what Comic-Con is it. Pretty much, he was right there, pretty much signing autographs. But there was like the guy who made the video said that
This
they
video.
don't. He sometimes he would forget how to spell his name. Sometimes he would like pretty much say like, "Oh, where am I?" and all that stuff. Like he just I don't know, like he was just out of it, pretty much, and you could tell by the video and stuff. And pretty much, I guess at times he would kind of like take like a very long break to eventually saying that his meet and greet is canceled due to it and stuff. But I mean, give the man a break. I mean, he had, I think, earlier this year or last year, he had lost his wife and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he got back from a cardiac arrest, and pretty much surviving. I mean, the man needs to rest. And I guess now he said that he's taking a break from all that, which I'm really happy that he said that on Twitter, that he was taking a break from like, attending conventions and everything. So I'm really happy for that. But I mean, before then, that's just sad. Like, I mean, it literally kind of made me shed a tear seeing that video. Like, he was just not there pretty much,
I know. I hate to say this though, because I know this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but I have a feeling the man is on his last legs. I feel at the very least that okay, maybe this won't be like his final moments, but I believe like during the man's what I'm assuming is going to be like his last 10 years. I feel that at the very least though it should be a good 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, he's already 95, At that time, like a lot of like elderly people around that age, you know, don't really function very well and stuff. And it's just, yeah, it made me sad. I would say to him, I don't know if he's hearing this or I don't know if he'll ever watch this video, but we love you, Stan Lee, and we care for your health and everything. And I would just say kind of like retire from attending conventions and everything, and kind of like trusting pretty much your partners to run Marvel and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't really know the full details of what happened, or the whole rumor that his granddaughter is milking him for his money and stuff. We don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he's like that and stuff. But I could only trust pretty much the man himself, to Stan Lee, pretty much.
Exactly. I just gotta say, Stan, we really appreciate what you've done for us just for all the years. You've just done stuff. You've created so many memories for all of us. Really, honestly, we really appreciate what you've done. and again, I don't like saying this, but you're nearing your final moments. I just want to say that you should just sit down, enjoy what you have though, and just
I don't want to admit it. I'll definitely be like, Stan Lee's created so many of my favorite Marvel characters, pretty much my favorite comic book characters of all time. And I want to say I don't want to accept it, but I have to because I feel that's the same way. Like he's in his final moments and stuff, and I'm at the same time I am prepared for it, but I'm not prepared for it.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be a really sad time for Marvel.
It's gonna be sad for me because the dude literally made my favorite superhero of all time, and I'm gonna miss his cameos. Like literally, when I saw the cameo in the new Spider-Man game, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Stan Lee!"
Yeah, I remember that.
And now it's like, man, it's gonna be really sad not to see him in any more of these Marvel movies anymore, because like that's been a staple of the Marvel films ever since.
Yeah.
Like it's sad too, because to think about it, like there could be an actual Marvel movie when he dies that's of his grave.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how would I.
That's what really gets me sad because like how old is the dude now? Like 98?
95.
Stanley. I think he has a few more years left in him.
He does, but it's just like we mentioned. I think he's like on his final moments, But I mean,
I'm really sad, man. Like I really don't want him to go.
Yeah, not not everybody wants him to go. But I mean, after seeing that video and after how they're treating him, like, again, I don't know the food details, so you could kind of criticize us of what's like, oh, it's not true and all that, and link us with like multiple videos. But we're just saying from what what we think, what's going on.
Like to be honest, he's done enough. Like he's done enough. He's made a bunch of characters across his lifetime. Like, what else can the man do? Just make cameos.
Just speaking from a general concise, though, is that we may not know the full details, but at the very least, we just want to wish for the best for the man.
I wish for the best, man. Like it's gonna be really sad when he goes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what you just wanted to talk about. I mean,
Isn't it sad though that you might never, like, if he dies, you might never actually get a chance to meet him in person, which is the really scariest thing.
Well, that's something I'm fully willing to admit. There's probably tons of people I used to look up to or who played or made a lot of my favorite characters that I'll never get to meet. It's just the reality of it. I've accepted it.
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, at least
could you wish that you could just, like, go to one of the events and just take a picture with him before his last moments?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's tons of people who
I would, but I mean, again, after seeing that video, I think I would just kind of give him a break, I wouldn't force him to, like, sign my comic books or my copy of Spider-Man for PS4. I would just kind of tell him, like, I just want one photo, and that's it. And something yeah, and something that I'll remember a lot, But yeah, that's pretty much what we just wanted to talk about, what the whole situation with Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But other than that, it looks like, the future of Marvel is in good hands in terms of media and video games since the release of Spider-Man for the PS4.
Spider-Man PS4 game is probably going to get more sequels in the future, and it's getting DLC in the next 3 months.
Yeah. But that's another conversation for another time because
it's really interesting what's going to happen though, because I'm just hoping that eventually when Disney buys Fox, I'm hoping for a few more cameos and like some X-Men.
No, Disney's already bought Fox.
I'm really hoping that we get a cameo for Stan Lee in the new Avengers movie and the new Spider-Man movie. They probably already do at the moment. I think they already do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised. Those movies are already in film production right now, so yeah. He's probably also Captain Marvel, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess to conclude this moment.
My bad. I gotta talk about something about Stanley first. When I
Okay,
saw
go
the dude
ahead.
for the first time, he looked like a really nice man. Like I remember when I watched Spider-Man for the first time, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, which is still like one of my favorite films of all time. And I have to thank the first film for showing me Spider-Man, because if that film never got made, I don't think I would be a huge Spider-Man fan as I am today. That first movie was basically the introduction of me saying, hey, I like this superhero. Like, he's amazing. Like, I really admired it. Like, I had all the games and stuff after that. Like, Spider-Man's always been my favorite since then. And when I saw a VHS of, like, an interview of Stan Lee, basically having an interview how he made the character and stuff, it was a really interesting experience. And I'm like, this man made my childhood, and I thank him for that. He just seems like a nice man, and I really hope the best for him, man.
No. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, but I guess to wrap up this thing, though, since we've gone up to about an hour and 20, we've gone up to about an hour now. It's just that the future of Marvel's looking good. Whether it be the movies, the games, the comic books, or whatever form of media you're interested in, Marvel's still there, and they're still doing good things.
Especially with the new Spider-Man and Avengers movie next year, and Captain Marvel. I can't wait for those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Carnage should have won that death battle.
God damn it.
Oh, wait, hold up. I know this is not related to this topic, but can I just mention that Rocksteady is making a Superman video game?
That's the conversation for when we do talk about DC.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, got anything else to say, or else I'm ending off the video?
I'll say something. I'll say one thing. You know, at first I wasn't really a big Marvel fan, you know, but you know I did love heroes like Iron Man and Spider-Man and Captain America and stuff. You know, I was more of like a DC person because Batman's my favorite superhero of all time, pretty much. And I grew up, watching, it's the shows and the Justice League shows. But I'm like the whole fan war thing, I don't care for, I love both companies and everything. And, in my opinion, Marvel's really the king of all media in terms of movies and stuff. But, I mean, with the more backlash it's receiving on comic books, I mean, I would just say make the storylines way better and stop copying and pasting other storylines as well. Having like a Civil War 2, pretty much having the same plot and everything. It's just, it's gotten to the point where I just kind of stopped reading Marvel comic books and stuff. But I sure as hell would I sure as hell enjoy watching the movies, and I still till this day enjoy watching playing Spider-Man for the PS4 and stuff. But other than that, it's looking great in terms of Marvel movies. And I would just say, what will happen after Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., and Scarlett Johansson would stop playing those characters? Because literally, especially Robert Downey Jr., because he's literally made for the role of Iron Man, and it's just going to be really kind of sad without him, because I could tell this is his final moments. And Chris Evans has told himself that he's going to make 3 more Marvel movies, and then he's going to hang up the shield and stuff. It's just going to be a really, really weird Marvel TU without those guys.
They're going to kill off both of them.
Wow, way to spoil it.
It's going to happen. It's like let's not even hide behind it. It's going to happen.
I don't know, man. I think I thought they're gonna kill off Iron Man in war, but I guess not. It could happen. I was not prepared for that moment. Thanos stabbed him with his own sword, and it's just wow. But he still lived. Not gonna go into full detail.
He still lived. Well, he got anything?
That's all
else?
I wanted to say.
Okay, good. You got anything else to say, Ghostman?
I think the future of Marvel is great, and I can't wait for the new Spider-Man movies because I love Spider-Man.
All right. Well, it's been a few months, but we finally got this discussion done. Later, people.
Right. Later.